Hello! Thank you for watching my graduate research project. This research and presentation has been assembled by Allison Griffin for Dr. Sanchez's Leadership and Team Development class at Amberton University. I hope you find the current presentation on situational leadership both informative and useful in developing and defining effective leadership styles. In this presentation, we will start with an introduction to the topic of situational leadership. This includes discussing the various leadership styles and related developmental levels of the followers. Next, an extensive literature review will be conducted to analyze a portion of past research that has been conducted on the topic of situational leaders. Limitations of the past studies will also be pointed out, with suggestions for future researchers. We will then talk about the methodology used to compile all of the present information. Finally, we will conclude the presentation with a summary of the results and a discussion of the implications of this research on the future of leadership development. I will also be giving my recommendations for organizations and leaders based on the assessment of previous research articles. Let's begin. Situational leadership was first developed by the research duo of Hershey and Blanchard in 1969. This idea is based on the premise that different situations in the workplace need to be addressed with different leadership styles. In situational leadership, leaders adapt their leadership style based on the developmental and commitment levels of the followers they are working with. There are three aspects that affect the leadership style. These are the leader's behavior, the follower's readiness to achieve a goal, and the relationship between the leader and follower. Depending on these variables, leaders will adjust how directive and supportive they are to the follower. There are three leadership styles, which each must be matched with the corresponding developmental level of the follower in order to be a successful and effective relationship. The first of these styles is the S1, or high directive, low supportive style. This is also known as the directing style. In this style of leadership, leaders focus the majority of their communication with the follower on goal achievement, specifically the tasks that the follower must complete. Leaders focus little energy on supporting individuals of the D1 developmental level because they are more committed and therefore need less support and motivation. The leader following the S1 style gives clear instructions to the follower and oversees the followers as they complete tasks. D1 followers are often the newer employees, however, can be an employee of any length of employment. These followers have low knowledge, skills, or abilities, but have high motivation to complete a task and learn how to do it properly. The second leadership style is the S2, high directive, high supportive style, corresponding with the D2 developmental level. This leadership approach is also known as coaching. Communication from these leaders usually focuses on achieving goals and meeting followers' social and emotional needs. Leaders encourage the followers and seek out their ideas and suggestions in order to help motivate them. In order to benefit the follower, leaders of this style decide what goals the follower needs to reach and how they will be reached. Followers of this developmental level are those who have acquired some level of competence in their job but have a low level of commitment to achieving the task. The third leadership style is the S3 style, high supportive, low directive. Also known as the supporting approach, this style focuses on developing followers' skills to accomplish necessary tasks. Leaders do this by allowing followers to maintain control over day-to-day decisions with minimal supervision as needed. Leaders also provide followers with social support and recognition when goals are achieved. Followers who are a D3 developmental level have a moderate to high competency level on the subject matter, which requires little guidance from the leader, and varying commitment level. The fourth and final leadership style of situational leadership is S4, low supportive, low directive style. This is also referred to as the delegating approach. In this style, leaders provide less input and less support to their followers, as the D4 followers are highly competent. Followers maintain control of planning tasks and details of the task, as well as control of setting their own goals to reach. Leaders allow followers to complete tasks with little to no intervention because of their high competence and commitment to the task. Good, effective leader-follower matches are those where the leadership style is a reflection of the developmental level of the follower. The hypothesis of this study is that situational leadership is the most effective leadership style for improving employee performance and development. The hypothesis will be supported by a variety of previous research that has been conducted regarding the topic. Situational leadership is based on the research of Hershey and Blanchard, but many other researchers have published valuable information on the topic. Let's first look at a little background on the subject. Leadership theories have existed for hundreds of years, dating as far back as 400 BC. One class of these early theories are the contingency theories. Contingency theories are unique due to their foundation that leadership is not all about leaders, traits, and qualities. This theory focuses on interactions with followers and the situation at the time. One reason this has become such a popular style of leadership is because research shows that investing in and developing followers leads to the development of the organization. There are certain traits required of a leader in order to be considered a successful situational leader. First, the leader must be able to evaluate the work that needs to be done or the goals that need to be accomplished. The leader must also be able to assess the followers' emotional needs and give the followers the support they need to achieve their goals. Successful leaders must be able to change their leadership approach depending on the needs of the follower, the situation, or the environment as needed. Good, effective leaders are task-oriented, passionate, and understanding of both the follower and the organization as a whole. What makes a leader effective is measured by the leader's behavior, the readiness of the followers, and the leader-follower compatibility. Without these three components, a situational leader would not be able to be successful. The productivity of the leader is based on how ready the follower is to participate as needed. It takes a dedicated and skillful leader to be a successful situational leader. Only a leader who is able to act in multiple roles can adapt to a complex, dynamic, and competitive environment effectively. These leaders have to have the ability to diagnose the performance, competence, and commitment of the follower. They must be flexible with their style of leadership and match that style and their behavior to the readiness and developmental level of the follower. According to situational leadership, it is the leader's responsibility to develop and grow the follower and help them reach the goals they could not have achieved otherwise. There are some limitations to the previously mentioned research studies. One limitation is that the vast majority of research that has been conducted focuses only on the Western culture, excluding Eastern culture differences. Another limitation is that much of the collected data is based on self-reported leader behavior, which may not be considerably reliable, and the data forgoes looking at individual outcomes of the leader-follower relationship. One last limitation is that there's an overwhelming lack of research in the effectiveness of the dynamic matching model that was created by Hershey and Blanchard. Based on the research conducted thus far, I would suggest that future researchers conduct studies focusing on the effects of situational leadership on employees as individuals, rather than only looking at the employees as a whole. Researchers should also focus on how situational leadership may affect follower-follower peer relationships. It would be interesting to see how followers would feel about each other when the leader is using distinctly different leadership styles with each follower. Another suggestion is that more emphasis should be put on including both Western and Eastern cultures in situational leadership studies in order to see if there is a difference in the benefits of this leadership style and what those differences may be. Research for the current study was collected through a thorough analysis of previous research. Literature was collected from online scholarly journals found on databases such as EBSCOhost and Google Scholar, and from printed textbooks used for leadership courses. To summarize the results of this study, let's review what we have learned about situational leadership. Situational leadership is a leadership style in which the leader modifies their leadership style based on the abilities and commitment level of the employee. There are 4 leader-follower pairings that work best together. S1D1 is when the leader provides the follower with a high level of direction but a lower amount of support. This works best for D1 followers because they have a lower competency when it comes to completing the task, but they are highly motivated and committed. S2D2 pairings are when the leader gives a high level of direction and a high level of support, as the followers have moderately low levels of competency and commitment. S3D3 matches include leaders who are highly supportive but give very little direction because the followers are highly competent at completing tasks. However, they lack commitment and motivation. And finally, S4D4 pairings contain leaders who are very hands-off because followers are capable of independently completing tasks with high competency and high commitment. This style of leadership has been shown to be very effective as they reach out to followers as unique individuals rather than just another number. When employees feel valued and receive the support and guidance they need, they are more likely to stick around and work hard to benefit the organization to the best of their ability. So, how are leaders of the workforce today able to use this information? The implications this research will have on the workforce is that this research project presents the information that can help leaders decide which leadership style is best for them based on the benefits and faults of situational leadership. Being such a successful style of leadership, more leaders may be apt to follow this style if they are aware of the benefits situational leadership provides to an organization. Also, if leaders are well informed on the type of leadership they choose to use, they will be better equipped to compensate for the problems this style tends to bring, such as setting unclear expectations for followers, or leaders being perceived as coercive or manipulative because of the different styles they use for each follower. My recommendations to leaders considering this style of leadership would be that they should be as educated as possible on the topic. I highly recommend this leadership style to an organization as long as the leader-follower matches are calculated and accurate. Though, if the leader is not properly pairing their leadership style to the developmental level of the follower, it could have negative results as the follower will be getting not enough or too much guidance or support from the leader. Thank you for participating in my presentation today. I hope you enjoyed the topic and learned something useful that you can apply to any leadership positions you may hold. If there are any questions I have left unanswered, I've provided a list of references that you can use for more information. Thanks again, and I hope you have a great day.